Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
Hello, you're listening to the podcast. So there I was. This is episode number 127. I didn't do it.
Nobody saw me. You can't prove a thing.
With Bart. What a great show. Actually, it's going to be more than one, but what a great show. Sponsor this week, FTI, Flight Training International.
Yep. FTIratings.com.
Thank you for that again. And we have a couple
we'll talk about that during
reviews.
the show. Yeah.
Yes.
We do have a couple 5-star reviews. Why don't you read the first one? I'll get the second one.
I would love to read the first one. Starts out, excellent podcast. You all have done a fantastic job with this podcast. I cried. It was better than Cats. Seriously, though. Great job documenting these tales from all across aviation. You both great hosts, and the shows are enjoyable. Definitely one of my favorite podcasts. Simplify Heed. That's AV8 Heed. Thanks, Simplify.
Thank you,
Simplify back at you, brother. Thank you.
Simplify, man. Yeah. Next one we got, another 5 stars. Count them 5, because we don't like 4-star ratings, 3-star ratings. None of that crap. Only excellence here. It says, they have it all. I love this show. It's entertaining, inspiring, and informative all at the same time. I do not have a background in aviation or military service, but I love the show. The stories will have you laughing your head off one minute and crying the next. These guys are documenting so many priceless pieces of history that normally go unrecorded. Stories that form the backbone of our freedoms. Without the experiences of the show's hosts and guests, we would not be the nation that we are today. I love the format of the show, as I am often in my truck for an hour-long commute, and it's nice to have a show that covers the trip. As a person without military aviation background, it's great that they translate the jargon so I can understand what they're talking about. I work in healthcare, and it's wonderful that these stories can still inspire me in my daily life. Keep up the good work, gentlemen. Dan Teresa. And man, that's humbling, Fig.
Yeah.
Holy
Thank you, Dan.
smokes.
That is humbling. Thank you.
Yeah. So even though we're cutting these shows short in their content a little bit, we're breaking up our time with Bart into 3 shows. So you're going to get Bart over the next 3 weeks. But I think it's going to be still close to 40, 45 minutes by the time we're done with all this intro stuff and show business and that kind of stuff. So we hope, and we still want feedback. I got a couple feedbacks that say, I like the long format, but our statistics show that people are dropping off the show at about 70%. And so we're trying to make it so you can stay with us for the whole damn show. So another piece of side news, Fig, I got some DVDs in the mail this week that have in-cockpit video of Lawman with the Blues giving a ride to somebody in the back. I guess when the troops leave the team, they get a ride and they get to pick which pilot brings them for a ride. And I haven't seen the video yet. That's what I've been told, the person that mailed it to me. And we have Lawman's permission to put it up. So I'm going to try and get it off the DVD and into format so we can put it up on the website. And
that would be fantastic.
Yeah, we'll try and do that this week. So, and apparently it's that ride, and I think we've got a full practice just looking at Lawman. And you'll hear all the radio calls and that stuff is what I'm told.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
I'm stoked to see that. So I was also stoked. Look, I was driving home the other night, and damn, Fig, you just gave out my information, dude.
Well, it's my old squadron, and they were in town, and they said, "Hey, you think repeat? We want to, come out and have a beer?" And I said, "I don't know. Stand by." And I just shot him in the contact. Yeah. Ever wear a funny hat?
Yeah, exactly. So I got a call from Spencer over at the 180th Airlift Squadron, Missouri Air National Guard, your old squadron.
Yeah.
And say, come on down, have some beers. I was going to buy, and next thing I know, they bought my beers. So thank you to Spencer, Seth, Mike, Dave, Tyler, Carter, and Andrew. Gents, it was an honor and a privilege to have a beer with you, gents, here in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. So that was a lot of fun. I'll get a picture of that, of us at the table there, At,
good.
I don't remember the name of the place now.
That's some of Missouri's finest air militia right there.
Right. Some of America's finest air militia. So, hey, so we talked to Bart. He opened with a great tease that we don't get around to for almost 3 weeks, folks. Sorry about that, but,
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Should we tell him,
a little spoiler alert. Tell him what it is. Yeah.
Well, Bart was shot down in the first Gulf War and actually taken prisoner.
Yeah.
So it was quite, an experience. So, I mean, it's unique, very unique. And
right.
he tells it like it is. It's pretty awesome.
He earned that medal. No one wants to earn the Prisoner of War medal. So
that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
And then retired as a 2-star general. And even he goes, I don't know. I think the Marine Corps knew what they were signing up for when they did that.
Such a humble and real man, really genuine.
Right. So I hadn't seen Bart in at least 30 years. And I was in Hawaii on a layover. And all of a sudden I look on TV and there's this general on TV and it was Bart.
Wow.
So, yeah, he retired as a major general in the Marine Corps, but he was commanding general of 1st Marine Aircraft Wing in Iwakuni and had come over to deal with an unfortunate mishap at that point in time. This is probably 7, 8 years ago now. So, here's a shocker, Figgy. It was a helicopter accident. Oh, my God.
I'm completely caught off guard by that.
Yeah.
Completely.
Yeah. But I was shocked, I was going, oh, there's a buddy of mine. I used to fly airplanes with him. They put stars on his shoulder. God bless him. It's nice to see a good guy make rank like that, where he can make a difference in the Marine Corps. And he tells us a few good stories about making a difference. And I think that's in next week's show. Yeah. How he got some equipment for the Harrier that made the airplane far more capable than it was when you and I were flying it.
Yeah.
So
awesome. It is. Yeah. That's very awesome story. And it is a piece of equipment a couple pieces of equipment really, but it has really made that airplane lethal.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And you've been impressed the Hornet guys. Well, that's not hard to do, but All right. And what was amazing is he starts off, he almost quit.
Right.
Well,
it's this kind of a recurrent theme we've heard. He got into the whole Marine Corps thing, not even knowing they had airplanes.
Yep. Yeah. And then, that just blows my mind, but I was around, Marine aviation as a kid long before I ever went in. So I knew it. You just assume everybody else knows it. Right. But
right. That's how I was.
Yeah. So
not at all surprised, but he was. And then he almost quit because, I don't want to ruin it, but he almost quit the flying part.
He got talked into staying in the airplane, and so he did. And then he talks about jet training in Meridian, and he and Ripper going through. We're hoping to get Ripper on a future show going through, and Ripper had a fancy call sign.
Yeah, and that's a good story, man, oh man.
Don't say it. Don't say it.
I'm not saying nothing.
Don't say it. And then we close out this week with talking about how he got his call sign. Hence the title of the show. So, man, good stuff. That's about all the smart stuff I can think to say. I think we get out of the way and listen to this fantastic, great American tell some of his stories.
Here's a true story.
Let's do
about
it.
crossing the pond.
So until next week,
don't
night,
sit on the ejection seat handle.
in the world's smallest
Don't
cockpit.
sit.
On the tanker, through the weather. Oh, and to the tanker crew who did that, thanks a lot. We really appreciated that. I'm just kidding. No, I'm not. Well, there I was, crossing the pond, and you could see that I wasn't exactly fond.
So there I was, 20,000 feet, with the skipper of VMA 231 in Desert Storm on my 17th combat mission, thinking I was all that in a bag of chips, until the surface to air missile came and decided you're not so good at it that you think, Bart. And I should have zigged when I zagged. And fortunately, I had to pull the handle and drift on down. And I'm going to tell you.
Oh, that is how all terrifying aviation tales begin. Welcome, Bart. Okay, repeat here, coming to you from New Hampshire tonight with my co-horse. Where are you tonight, Fig?
I made it back to Kearney about an hour ago. Thank you.
Nice.
It is a true pleasure to introduce our guest tonight, Bart.
Indeed.
A Harrier
Welcome, Bart.
legend.
Indeed.
Oh, I don't know.
Yes.
You are indeed. So we'll get through your career, and regardless of whether you think the Marine Corps made a mistake or not, there are a whole lot of us that are glad you got to go and do the things you did and be where you were, because it's always nice when a good guy gets to a point and he's able to help things out. So, but yeah, started off in ROTC at University of Florida.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I'm from Florida, and grew up in fact, the town that I'm living in right now, DeLand, Florida, DeLeon Springs. I'm near Daytona Beach. But so I was not the perfect child going through school, high school. Yeah, I was kind of very average. But one thing, I was very independent, wanted to, I just loved the challenge. The worst thing you could say to Russ Sanborn when he was 16, 17, 18 years old was tell him he couldn't do something, and that just, you're throwing the gauntlet at my feet. And so I decided, hey, I'm going to get, my parents were fairly well off. They could have afforded school, but I was bound and determined to do it on my own. And remember, this is back in 1986, 81 when I graduated.
Okay.
We didn't have internet, that stuff, and cell phones. And so to get a scholarship, you had to write papers and send in the mail and, lick a stamp and, and ask the Marine Corps.
Like a caveman. You had to lick a stamp.
It was caveman. Anyway, I remember I applied for an ROTC scholarship because I wanted the challenge of, being a Marine. And here's the crazy thing. This is how dumb I was. I did not realize that Marines had aviation assets.
You wouldn't
were
be
not
the
the
first
first
person to say that.
I thought Marines just, ran around in the jungle. I
Right.
was in the Vietnam era. Not desert, but just we ran around in the jungle. And so when I actually went to the University of Florida, and I remember walking down the hallway and I saw a picture of an F4 with Marines written on the side of it. And I go, wow, that's a really cool paint job. And the gunnery sergeant, that's the Marine ROTC guy that's in charge of you there. He goes, what do you mean that's a nice paint job? And I go, yeah, look, they painted Marines on the side of this jet. And he goes, we have jets. We have helicopters. We have artillery. And I'm like, what? Tell me more. I go, so I could fly jets and helicopters in the Marine Corps? And he goes, son, come sit down. We got to talk. And that's how naive I was about the Marine Corps. But I remember getting that letter in the mail that said, hey, Mr. Russell Sanborn, we're going to give you a full ride scholarship to the University of Florida, but you got to pay him back. And I went and sat at my dinner table and I told my parents, I said, hey, I got good news and bad news today. And they go, what's that? And I go, good news. You don't have to pay for my college. And they go, what's the bad news? I go, the Marine Corps is going to pay for it. And it's, and I came from no military background, no fathers, no uncles. I mean, they're like, Marine Corps, aren't those the people that shave your head and you run around the jungle? They were so naive. They were trying to talk me out of it right then and there. And, I'm like, nope, that's what I'm doing. I'm going to join the Marine Corps. So
that's awesome.
And here's the crazy thing. So, you go into the Marine Corps, you spend 33 years in the Marine Corps. Your dad and mom have no clue as to really what you do for a living. They're very proud of you.
Yeah.
In fact, when I made colonel, I remember I get a letter in the mail from my mom, and it's addressed Colonial Russell Sanborn. Colonial. I go, Mom, Colonial. She goes, I don't know that rank stuff, Russ. I've been into like 25 years by that point.
Yeah, right?
And,
that's
she's like,
good.
yeah, I know you're in the
That's
Marine Corps,
rich.
and you fly jets. You're cool, son.
rich.
There's no rank among lieutenants, and apparently there's not any among family either.
No,
They just don't care. You didn't impress them much.
Yeah, I don't impress them at all. You're like, oh.
Colonial Sanborn.
Colonial
Congratulations, sir.
Russell Sanborn.
Congratulations on your promotion.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's great.
You'd have gotten a call sign out of that, except it's too long and hard to say.
Yeah, that's right.
So, okay. In fact, let's not forget to circle back to call signs here in a bit. But so that's when you became interested in aviation. So no flying whatsoever before joining the Marine Corps.
Never flew other than a commercial airliner. And in fact, when I went to Pensacola, I almost DOR'd, drop on request, after my fifth vomiting episode in a T-34.
Oh, no.
Oh, shit.
And I remember flying with a P3 guy. He was my on-wing. And mission 1 threw up. Mission 2 threw up. Mission 3 threw up. And I'm like, hey, dude, I don't think this is for me. It's hot in Pensacola. It's bumpy. And I remember him sitting down and goes, hey, half of you do this. Eat a little bread, stick the vents on. Basically, he talked me into sticking it out. And by the fourth mission, I was queasy, but I didn't throw up. Fifth mission, queasy, didn't throw up. And finally, I got the hang of it. But boy, I was on the edge of.
Wow.
And you're going to hear so many of these stories of, an inch one way or the other would have been a different outcome.
Oh, you bet.
And I could have easily on that fifth flight said, I'm done. I guess I'll go run through the jungle, with my M16 and call it a day. But stuck it out.
Nice.
That worked out pretty good in the long run.
Yeah, it did.
Really?
But hey, let's be perfectly honest. Russ Sanborn is not the ace of the base. My son is a helicopter pilot, and there's the jet draft. Everybody's heard that, right?
Sure.
In flight school.
Yeah.
Right.
And by the grace of God, there was a jet draft going on. Average Bart, average pilot. I'm at average flight grades, T-34s. Picking, hey, you're going to go fixed wing, you're going to go rotary wing. And I'm like, hey, I'd really like to go fixed wing. And like, well, congratulations, because we really need fixed wing pilots. And,
wow.
Nice.
once
it was
again.
meant to be. Bart, it was meant to be.
I'm in the club. But I'm not crushing it, baby.
Yeah, well, and they stuck, and they put you in Harriers. I don't know, back then, did they have the minimum cutting score to put a dude in Harriers? Because for a while there.
No, back then it was F-18s were just coming out. So, 1988, F-18s were brand new. RF-4s were still available. EA-6Bs were available for fixed wing.
Yeah, and probably couldn't get. They weren't putting guys in A4s anymore, right?
No, A4s were still part of the training command, but they were gone. Everybody was going Aviators. And so believe it or not, I put F-18s because it was the newest, brightest, shiniest airplane. Harriers number 2. And baby, I wanted RF-4s as number 3 because I wanted to go Mach.
Yep. I had that discussion.
The other
with
thing
the
that really
Marine
appealed to me on my jet selection was, and you all remember this, flight school was a pain in the ass because the guy in the back was like a rodent, a chigger, constantly. Where are you going? What are you doing? What are you thinking? Why'd you do that? Where, and I came to the conclusion, I want nobody in the back seat critiquing me ever again. I'm tired. I don't want a co-pilot. I don't want a navigator. I don't want an Rio. So F-18s at the time were single seat. Harriers were single seat. And then I said, but you know what? I'm willing to have a backseater and an RF-4 if I can go Mach 2.
Right.
So,
yeah.
My
good trade. Good trade-off.
Yeah. Good trade-off.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So any memorable things from flight school other than almost DORing? They ever tickle the handle or?
No, I was actually pretty safe. I mean, I remember running over the runway lights, my first 2 takeoffs, because, the guy says, hey, be aware of the P factor. As you go full power, airplane wants to drift off to the runway. And I'm like, damn, I think I just hit something. So that would be the runway lights, Sanborn. And then finally, after the 3rd takeoff, he goes, look down the runway. Don't look at the front of the airplane. Look down the end of the runway, and take off.
Yeah.
So, flight school is actually fun for me. I enjoyed it,
Well, it does sound like you put a lot of pressure on yourself, which was good, really, because you weren't, you weren't stressed out.
No, I didn't. I mean, I didn't get married until I entered A4s, and then my wife, we've been married 30. Oh, gee, gosh, now I'm on podcasting.
It's a long time.
Now you're in trouble.
You've been married a long time.
I've been married a long time. 32 years, I think.
Yeah, from to the same woman. God bless her. God bless her.
God bless that woman. But
It only seems like a couple years, honey.
Yeah, honey, it's been wonderful. But she would, we would all chair fly. Remember that?
Yeah.
And she would have the 3x5 cards with all my NATOTs. All right, you just had a engine failure. What do you do? Oh, feather, flap, steel, fine. Locate, pan, whatever.
Right.
Nice.
She's right there with me, helping me fly my jet in the chair.
A lot of Marine and Navy. Yeah. A lot of Marine and Navy brides knew the emergency procedures better than her husbands, I think. They could pick it up. And us idiots, I don't remember that one. Oh, come on, you know this.
You know this.
No,
we went over this 6 times last night. You know this.
I don't remember.
Why don't you just tell me what it is? Because obviously I don't remember.
All right. Oh, man. The love of flight school.
Hey, everyone. Today we're diving into something that all you aspiring airline pilots and those needing an ATP or a type certificate will want to tune into. Flight Training International, or FTIratings.com. Since its inception in 1993, FTI has been dedicated to elevating the standards of pilot training.
That's right, Fig, but FTI isn't your ordinary flight school. It's a veteran-founded institution that's all about delivering high-quality and cost-effective training across a wide spectrum of airliners. From the Airbus to Boeing simulators, their training covers it all, and these simulators mimic the exact conditions you'll face in the real world.
Yeah, these simulators are no joke. They're the same full-motion, FAA-certified beasts used by all the major airlines all over the world. This means every training session isn't just a lesson. It's a real-world experience. Plus, the instructors have been where you are. Transitioning from military jets to commercial airliners is smoother than ever.
And the credentials these instructors bring to the table are impeccable. We're talking about professional pilots with previous military experience and decades of flying commercial airliners around the globe. They're here to guide you, to teach you, and to ensure that you're ready to handle everything from transatlantic crossings to tight landings at bustling international airports.
FTI also offers special programs like ATP CTP, which stands for Airline Transport Pilot Certification Training Program. That's been mandated by Congress to ensure pilots are thoroughly prepared for the demands of modern aviation. And the best part, all this can be accessed from wherever you are, thanks to their innovative training materials available on your iPad.
Nice. And because we love giving our listeners the best deals, here's one just for you. Mention So There I Was when you sign up for your first course at FTI and get a sweet $100 off. Whether you're a seasoned pilot looking to up your skills or a military aviator aiming for the commercial skies, FTI is your launching pad.
So what are you waiting for? Check out FTIratings.com. That's FTIratings.com. Join the ranks of their esteemed alumni, including pilots from the U.S. Air Force, the U.S. Navy, and even the FAA. If they trust FTI, you can too.
Absolutely, Fig. And don't forget that you can use your veterans benefits to pay for the cost of FTI. So gear up, check your avionics, and prepare for takeoff. Go to FTIratings.com and get started today. Your future as a top-tier airline pilot starts at Flight Training International. That's why FTIratings.com is the best option for you. Don't just fly, soar with FTI.
Hey, where did you go to jet training, Bart? Was it
Meridian, Mississippi.
Oh, you were a Meridian. I was a Meridian.
Yeah,
I think I was a year behind you.
How can, why would we build a Navy base 150 miles from the coast? Because John McCain, I guess, donated land. I don't know how that worked out.
It was somebody got paid in that deal, but yeah, that's exactly why.
Out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, it really was.
You're kind of isolated. You got to kind of do your own thing. I love that about that.
Yeah.
And then got Harriers and went to Cherry Point, obviously, where we all went.
Yep.
And how was your experience in the Harrier rag? Because mine was it felt like it was a kind of a mean place.
Well, it still was that mentality of, it's a difficult aircraft. Let's use all the buzzwords. It's a challenging aircraft. It's a aircraft that you need to pay attention to,
right.
And then everybody else is going, that damn airplane's going to kill you. It's a nut job every time you crank it up. And it's true. I mean, you had to pay attention. So I guess they were very, they just wanted you to really study hard, think through your procedures. And in fact, Tony Nearad and I went through the rag together. Ripper, God bless. And later on, he was the CEO of Mag 13 while I was the CEO of Mag 14. So it was just
awesome.
It's one of those awesome stories where, you grew up together, flew together, his wife and my wife, and he and I were best friends. In fact, I remember, let me tell you a Ripper story.
Okay.
How he got his call sign. Did he ever, has he been on your show?
No, we got to have him on.
We need to get him on.
Let's hear it.
Great guy. But his call sign in the rag going through the Harrier was pumpkin. Yeah. Okay. So you're laughing. That's what exactly everybody's going to do. The reason why it was pumpkin is because on his birthday, his wife baked him a cake and said, "Happy birthday, pumpkin."
How?
Oh, yeah.
That's all it took.
So he's
Thanks
pumpkin.
a lot, honey.
And so all through the rag, his call sign's pumpkin. Now we're graduating from the rag and we're getting ready to go to the gun squadron, right? The professionals. And VMA 231 says, hey, we'll take Russ Sanborn and we'll take Tony Nearad. It was an NFL draft.
Right.
Package.
Okay.
Yep.
And so they picked us too. And they said, and we got the word, hey, we're going to be in VMA 231. That's going to be our gun squadron, Tony. And we were like high-fiving each other. All right. And they said, we'll come to the O Club and, we're going to have an all officers meeting and we'll introduce you to to your new team. So as Tony and I were going to the O Club, I go, Tony, we can't show our ass. We're first lieutenants. We're the new guys. We got to be cool. We're joining the NFL now. And I said, and you can't tell people your call sign is pumpkin. Because one, I'm associated with you.
It's going to make you look bad.
It's all about me, right?
Yeah, you're going to be Patch. It's going to be Pumpkin and Patch.
Yeah. So we're in the AOM. We come into the AOM. There's beer, and the skipper is standing up and he goes, hey, we got two new pilots from BMAT 203. It's Captain Russ Sanborn, Captain Tony Nearad. Hey, we'd like you to stand up, introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and what your call sign is. So I stand up. I said, my name's Russ Sanborn. I went to the University of Florida on an ROTC scholarship, blah, blah, blah. My call sign back then, I don't even remember what it was back then. I don't know. It was something. Ranger.
Inconsequential now. Inconsequential.
It's inconsequential because it changed to Bart.
Yeah.
And then I sat down. They politely welcome.
Yeah. Golf clap.
Yep. And then I looked at Tony and I go, Tony, for God's sake, do not tell him you're a pumpkin. So he stands up and he goes, my name's Lieutenant Tony Nearad. I'm from the Minnesota Fighting Gophers. He's being all cool, And he goes, and my call sign is, and he looked at me and I'm like,
don't do it.
My call sign is Ripper, Spine Ripper. And you know what the ready room does? They're like,
Oh, yeah.
shut up, sit down. No, it's not. Tony Nearad is all of 150 pounds soaking wet.
Right. Right.
He sits down, but it's one of those oxymoron call signs that stuck, and he got to be called Ripper. And I'm like, I high-fived him when we got out. I'm like,
He fucking got away with it.
with it.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's so outrageous they could not do
call
it.
sign is Ripper.
Yeah.
Right?
And he's like,
That's one of like 5 guys in Marine Corps history to assign his own cool call sign and get away with it.
That's a fact.
You just don't do
That's
that.
a fact. Yeah.
My call sign got assigned, and I've hated it for 30 years.
Well, as long as we're there,
Well,
let's chat about that.
I was going to say, what a nice segue. Okay, why Bart? How did that come about?
Bart. All right. Remember The Simpsons? The show? 1989 it first came on. It's been playing ever since then. And so that Simpson guy had a sense of humor, bald or flat top. And I had check out, well, you can't see it because this is a podcast, but I used to have a hair. I used to have a flat top, and I kind of like playing jokes, practical jokes and stuff like that. So I'm in VMA 231 as the new guy with Tony Nearad. We're constantly, trying to fit in, trying to be funny, trying to be professional. In fact, my AMO, Greedy, he's a captain running this maintenance department, and I get assigned as the power plants officer to maintenance. And I just remember in my introduction with him, he went over and over about, hey, I've got an open door policy. Come on in, anytime, you can talk to me. We can, welcome to VMA 231, but I got an open door policy. And he must have said that 5 times. So that night I said, well, if you got an open door policy, why do you have a door on your office? So that night, hinges come out. I take his door and I go hide it somewhere in the hangar. And the next day he comes in and his door is missing. They're doing riveting outside. They're, they're hammering. And you can barely talk. He goes, hey, it's a little noisy in here because I don't have a door, Sanborn. And I go, well, you got an open door policy. What do you need a door for? And I just kind of left it at that, Back then we had rotary dial phones. Yeah. Those things would be glued down shut. He'd pick up his phone and the whole phone would come up.
I didn't do it.
Yeah. And that's eventually what came out is after about a month, the squadron was like, I don't know what's going on, but there's a lot of antics going on in this squadron. And I think it's that new guy, and they would come to me and they go, you're behind this somehow. We don't know how. We can't prove it. And that's, Bart Simpson back then used to go,
I didn't do it.
I didn't do it. You don't have no pictures. You can't prove it. You don't, And what's a good Harrier pilot do? Make counter accusations, deny everything.
Yeah. Deny.
That was not me. I wasn't there. You don't have do you have a picture? No? Okay. Then that wasn't me. And so they go, I'm telling you, he's like that Bart Simpson guy of that cartoon. And everybody said, yep. And so it was Bart.
Oh, that's great.
And
outstanding.
And so I had it for 20 years. And finally, as a lieutenant colonel in VMA 542, I just got, hey, I'm now the new CO, right? I'm walking tall. My chest is out. I'm 2 inches taller. I'm the squadron CO of VMA 542 Tigers. So I had my first AOM, and I stood in front of the podium, and I said, gentlemen, as your skipper, my call sign is Bart, and I do not particularly care for that call sign. So from now on, I would like you to change that call sign. I want to be called, and I paused dramatically, I want to be called Thor, Lord of War.
With a straight face. You did this with a straight
I did
face.
this with a straight face, thinking,
No.
hey, I'm the CEO, right? I'm supposed to have all this power, and I'm supposed to be somebody.
Yeah.
And this captain in the very back of the room goes, "Yeah, right, Bart. Sit down." And I knew right then. I will never change this call sign. I have no power, no authority. I hope they just listen to me and stay out of trouble. And
Man.
It must have worked out. It must have worked
Exactly.
it worked out.
Right?
I love these guys. I love those guys.
There we go. All right. Well, in accordance with our new format, we're shortening everything down. So we're going to do 2, probably 3 shows out of this. So everybody, thank you for joining us this week. We will be back next week with more with Bart. And we're going to also hear more about that missile striking him in the backside over the Iraqi desert at some point, I'm sure. So, yeah, right. So thank you for your service, Bart. We greatly appreciate it. And we will chat more with you next week. Thank you for signing that check, that blank check that you were Linda Wright.
Hoorah.
And thank you to your bride, Linda, and all the military brides and husbands out there who are keeping the home front fires burning so that the people out on the front lines can do what they do to make this country as free as this. We're grateful every day for that service.
Eternally.
And, a couple other quick thank yous. We got to say thank you to Dave Hamilton over at Backbeat Media, backbeatmedia.com, online for our advertising. And thanks to Badass, BDS Aviation Photography.com.
Yeah,
thank you to
Badass.
Sticks for
Thank you, Sticks, for
great
being in the
photography.
background and doing all the producer stuff you've been doing. You're
That
awesome.
is awesome stuff. Yes, sir. Fig, if you want to get some cool merch, a coffee mug, a beach towel, getting out of bikini season in the Northern Hemisphere, those of you down in Australia, get yourself a So There I Was bikini.
So there I was.
Yeah.
So there I was. .us/merch. That's where you go.
Absolutely. And a nice little QR code on the front of that bikini so someone can come up and point their camera at it.
Is that what that's for? All this
That's
time?
what it's for.
Son of a bitch. I never put that together.
Right? Right?
it
Oh,
was
man.
Like a bullseye or something.
It's a QR code, man. So,
Okay.
Anyway. Oh, holy cow. What other stuff have we got? So there was .us/rate. Give us a rating. Give us a 5-star rating. Count them 5. Not 4, not 3. If you got to give a 3-star rating or a 2-star rating, go over to Basket Weaving Is Us or something like that. Give them the 2-star. Give us the 5.
If you can't give us 5,
So-
tell us what it takes to get to 5, because we're trainable.
Absolutely freaking lutely. So.
And then we
Fig.
got to say thanks to the the 2 Air Force F-16 guys that make the Air Force sound good. That's the music of the Dos Gringos. 4 albums,
Don't
not
miss
a
it.
bad song on any of them. They're all amazing. If you want to laugh, you want to have a good time while you're laughing, listen to the Dos Gringos songs.
Right. Absolutely. And thank you to all of our listeners and supporters, those who are over on Patreon, who have lost your judgment and are throwing money at us. We're deeply grateful. That's what helps keep these shows coming to you, because
That's a fact.
this is not a
Thank
cheap
you.
proposition, and we couldn't keep doing this without you. So, yeah. And I think that's about it.
Yes.
Fig, did I leave anybody out?
I can't, off the top of the cuff here, I can't think of anybody. I'm sure we're missing
We
something.
got it. I'm sure we are. And if we are, we apologize up front, but we'll get back to it. All right, everybody. Until next week, I would say stay safe. Check 6.
Hoorah.
And don't sit on the ejection seat handle.
Bago. We miss Bago.
Oh, Bago. Thanks, Bago.
Thanks, Bago. We missed you tonight,
There
brother.
I was, crossing the pond, and you could see that I wasn't exactly fond of all the shit I was wearing on that day. Now an F-16 is cramped enough, but it's even worse with all that stuff supposed to save your life. But we knew there was no way. 'Cause when you're going down in the North Atlantic, man, it's over.
Hey, what? It's what?
He said it's over.
Was it over when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor?
No! And we're